So, how can you reduce inflammation naturally in golfer's elbow and tennis elbow? And really, why does it matter to you? All right, so tennis elbow and golfer's elbow, as you might know, the medical term for them is for tennis elbow, it's lateral epicondylitis, and for golfer's elbow, it's medial epicondylitis. So, let me give you a very brief introduction to these conditions in case you're not already aware, but you might have elbow pain and you're wondering if you have any of these conditions. So, if you look at your elbow here, this is the point of your elbow, this is the outer bony part of your elbow, and this is the inner bony part of your elbow. So if you were to place your fingers on the central part and leave about a finger or two distance on the inner side and the outer side, now if you have pain on the inner aspect of the elbow here, which can go down into this part of your forearm and into your fingers, this is known as a golfer's elbow. And if you have pain on this outer part of the elbow and the pain can go down into the forearm and the finger extensors, these tendons here, this is known as a tennis elbow. So in both of these, it is known as a lateral or medial epicondylitis. Now, whenever you use the word itis, itis in medical language, it means inflammation. So basically, there's an inflammation in the outer part of your elbow in tennis elbow and the inner part of your elbow in a golfer's elbow. So now, that is the reason that if you have golfers or tennis elbow, it is important to reduce the inflammation, because this inflammation is the one that word inflammation is a collective term for the swelling, pain, redness, etc. that you have in the elbow. So if you reduce your inflammation, of course, it's going to lead to a reduction in pain, reduction in swelling, and reduction in your overall issues that are going on with your elbow. So of course, there are exercises, there are medication, there is cold packs, ice packs, hot packs, everything is out there as a treatment. But if you treat the basic cause, that is inflammation in the elbow, that is going to help speed up or fasten your recovery from these two conditions. Now, I've clumped them together in the same video or the topic, because the reduction of inflammation, the ways to do that is excuse me, is quite similar. So before we get into the topic for today on how can you reduce inflammation in tennis elbow and golfer's elbow, let me introduce myself for those of you who haven't watched my videos before. My name is Swati. I'm an executive mom power coach. I help moms of younger kids who work in high stress executive jobs to manage their spinal, that is back and neck, and nerve pain. And of course, I talk about joint pain as well. And I do all of this by giving you simple exercises, some easy lifestyle modifications, and some tips and tricks that have helped me in my own pain journey. I do all of this without taking away a big chunk of your time, because, hey, we're moms, we're busy people, right? All right, so let's get into the topic for today. So, one of the most important questions that might have come to your mind, or I get asked all the time, is can these two conditions resolve themselves, or can my golfer's elbow go away on its own, or tennis elbow go away on its own? Well, the answer is very different. It can differ from one person to another. It may differ from one episode of tennis elbow in the same person to the second episode or the next episode of tennis elbow. That is because it depends on the degree of inflammation you have, how long have you had it, as in how chronic has the inflammation or the condition been, and how intense is the pain or the amount of inflammation that is present, as I just mentioned. So now think about it. If this is the criteria for your tennis elbow or your golfer's elbow resolving, then if you go and target that inflammation straight away, of course, you're going to have a faster resolution of the condition. So let's look at some of the common ways you can reduce the inflammation in these conditions. So the very first one is stress management. I know this is really white noise because everybody talks about it, but how does stress affect your inflammation? So if you, I'm just looking at my notes here. So what happens is when you are stressed, which is so much a part of our everyday life, especially as moms who are juggling their family and work, and you have like a million things on your to-do list, if you're like me, then there is a lot of stress that builds up unknowingly or knowingly on I'm talking about the mental level, of course on physical level as well, but there's a lot of mental stress that builds up. Now when this stress is a repeated thing every single day, that leads to an increase in the stress hormone. Well, the most popular one is cortisol, and when that is increased, obviously there's more inflammation in the body because that triggers inflammation in the body. So if you reduce your stress, of course you reduce your inflammation as well. You can use stress management techniques. Of course, there are like a zillion out there. The ones that help me the most are meditation. Doesn't mean any deep meditation, it just means 10 minutes of quiet me time in the morning before the kids are up and the whole day starts. And of course, essential oils that I use. And yeah, so basically, and just spending some me time with, well, without anybody else interrupting in there. So for me, that works. If you're wondering what essential oils I'm using, I will leave a link to the ones that I use in the description of this video. So there will be a blog in the description. I mean, there's a link to a blog in the description of this video, and that'll have all the details. The next thing is cold packs. I know I have spoken about cold packs and hot packs a lot in my videos and blogs. However, they are the simplest and the most effective um, technique that you have out there. Not technique, but the most effective modality that you have for your pain. But you should know how to use it and when to use it. So how does cold reduce your inflammation? When you have inflammation, there is a lot of swelling in the area, there is a lot of congestion in the area, and so what happens with cold is your blood vessels are like rubber pipes. What happens when you apply cold to a rubber pipe? The rubber pipe will shrink. So of course there's not like a major shrinkage in your blood vessels, but they constrict slightly. So the rush of blood that is coming into the area will be reduced, and that gives your body a chance to wash out all the pain producing substances, the metabolites, the swelling in the area, so that new blood can come in. I mean, new supply of blood can come in. Sorry, I'm mixing my words today. New supply of blood can come in, and that'll help to ease the inflammation. So that's how, on a very basic level, that's how a cold pack helps you. I'm not going into the big science of it because really, I mean, I don't think any of us has the time to listen to that. I'm not sure if you're interested in listening to that. So the other thing is repetitive movements or repeated movements that you're doing. Now, for example, if I'm a mom who's at work and I'm typing all day on my keyboard, so if I'm doing this repeated action, so you see this repeated action, what's happening here is you see the movement in these tendons here. Now, these are the tendons. These are like the ropey part of the muscle, these four that you see here. They go and attach on the outer part of the elbow here. So if I do this, do you see how my muscle is flexing here? The muscle is moving. So this is a continuous muscle that goes and splits into four and then attaches to different parts of your finger. Similarly, it's the same case with your golfer's elbow. I mean, with the other set of muscles that you have in your forearm. So when you are doing repeated movements, say I'm typing. So when I do this movement, do you see how these tendons are repeatedly moving? And then the stress goes on to your outer elbow, and that aggravates your tennis elbow. So that repeated movement that you have can also lead to inflammation because you're overusing that muscle over and over again. You're doing the same movement, the muscle is not able to take a break. And when this happens over a long period of time, sometimes there are microscopic tears that can happen in the tissue, and the body can't repair these as fast as like there's the rate at which the muscle tears are happening and the rate at which the body is repairing them. Probably the body is not able to match up, and that causes a lot of pain, inflammation in the area, and of course aggravates your tennis elbow or your golfer's elbow. So try and avoid repetitive movements. So if you have a job where you're typing all the time, of course you can't stop typing, but you can take a break in between. So it's as simple as that. Try and take a break in between your repetitive activities. If you can modify the activity, that's great. For example, if you are one of those who are typing, so the very first thing is when you're holding a mouse, this is the position of your wrist. So you see the wrist is not in neutral. This is neutral. Where your wrist, your side of the forearm here is in line with the the little finger here. This is neutral, this is extended, and this is flexed, right? So there's a lot of strain on the wrist when you do this. So if you use a wrist pad, so basically it's like a pad that goes under here. You can even take a face towel, roll it up and put it under your wrist here, and then you type. So do you see how that makes a difference? Otherwise you are like this with the mouse. So try it out yourself and see if that works for you. Or you can get an ergonomic mouse where you don't have to do this. It's like a, I don't have mine right here. It's like a standing mouse. So you're holding it and you're clicking with your fingers instead of doing this action. So try using these devices that make your life easier, and it'll interrupt that repetitive movement pattern that you have. All right. So the very last thing that I wanted to address about the inflammation is there is this because I have suffered from tennis elbow and golfer's elbow, and sometimes my tennis elbow does come back. The golfer's thankfully doesn't. So what you can do is you can try this out if you'd like. I will leave a link again in that blog that I will leave in the description of this video. I have done a free 11 days program which incorporates an anti-inflammatory juice. Of course, it's all natural. If you've known me for longer than 2 minutes, you know I don't use synthetic stuff and chemical laden stuff. I use more natural things in my life for myself and my family. And it does, of course, doesn't involve any pills, any diet, meal replacements, etc., etc. It basically is that anti-inflammatory juice that does the magic, and it helps to ease out the inflammation throughout your body, including, of course, your elbow. And yeah, so that was it. I wanted to just address these in the video today. If you have any questions, any comments for me, do let me know. This video has gone a little longer than expected, but I hope this has been useful for you. Don't forget to check out that blog that I will leave the link for it in the description of the video. If you're watching me on Instagram, the link is in my bio, or you can message me and I will send it to you. Alrighty, I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.